All creatures, sapient or not, have some sort of social structure. Many live in groups, others are alone most or all of their lives. Either way, there are many questions that need answers here. Who is in charge of the group? What is the group's constellation? If they live alone, how do they find a mate and raise a family? Do they do that at all? And many other questions. Let's get into it, shall we? The obvious first question is, does your creature live alone or as part of a group? Whichever it is, even if they live alone, there are some questions regarding social structures that you might still want to ask yourself. Let's start with groups though, and let's start with the group's constellation. Who is in the group? Is it a family? And if so, is it parents and children, or is it larger family units than that? Or is it a group that is not biologically related, or for the most part not biologically related, except as part of the same species, or actually not as part of the same species at all? Maybe this is a species that lives either in symbiosis or as a parasite among others. Either way, they live in a group, and now the question is, how does the constellation of the group change? How do new individuals come into the group and old individuals leave? And not necessarily old as in age, but when, how, and why do individuals leave or join the group? For the sake of biological variety and to avoid inbreeding, there should be some sort of mechanism to make sure that new blood comes in every once in a while. Which also means that blood needs to leave to be able to become new blood in a different group. Or they have some sort of other way to avoid inbreeding, like asexual reproduction or something like that. But if new individuals show up every once in a while, when, where, how, and why? To avoid inbreeding, yes, but what makes an individual leave a group or join a different group than the one they grew up with? Is it just a thing that at a certain age they want to leave their family, sort of like humans do? Is it that every year, once a year, all the groups of this species come together as one big group and form new constellations somehow, and then they leave as new groups or as partially new groups? Or is it maybe that some individuals get chased away from the group they are in now, either because they don't fit in, or the group doesn't just like them, or maybe there are too many males right now, we don't need this many males, so off you go. There's also the question of how an individual is accepted into a new group. Is it just that they have to go there and then they're part of the group, or do they have to prove themselves somehow? Speaking of which, what are the group dynamics? Who is the leader of the group? Is it an alpha male, or an alpha female, or an alpha pairing? Is it the oldest individual in a group? Or maybe there isn't really a clear leader as such, or there are different leaders. One is the leader for the hunters, and one is the leader for the gatherers, or, I don't know, domestic area, whatever areas your species has. Maybe there is one leader in the winter and another one in the summer, because it takes different skills to lead in different seasons. Also, how is it decided who is the leader? Is it through fighting? Do you have to defeat the old leader to become the new leader, for example? Is it whoever provides more food? Is it whoever provides more or better offspring? Is it whoever finds the best hiding places? And like I said before, how does an individual earn a place in a group? Both how are they accepted when they get there as new members, and is there anything they can do to be kicked out of the group? Say, if they hurt someone else, or if they don't provide whatever it is the group expects of them. Is it if they're selfish and hoard food, or maybe they just have to give the leader a funny look? Basically, what are the rules of the group, how strictly are they enforced, and how are they enforced? What happens if you break the rules? Moving on from groups, say that this is all too complicated and your species lives alone, because who needs other people anyway? There's the question of how and when and where do they find a mate in order to have children and raise their young, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. And there's also basically refer back to my video on survival. How do they survive? What are their defenses if they don't have a group to defend them? Also remember that the options are not living in a group and living alone. There are things in between there. For example, maybe they live alone most of the time except when they have babies, or maybe they live in groups until they have decided that now I've had all of the babies I'm gonna have, and then they go off on their own. Maybe the males live in groups but the females don't, or vice versa. Or they come together at certain times of the year, maybe for a hunting season, and then they are in a group and they work together and then they separate again. It could also be that groups are for children and whoever raises the children, but the individuals that don't raise children, they live alone. For example, there are many other versions as well, but those were just some to show you what I meant. Speaking of children and those who raise them, let's get into family dynamics, and let's start with that question: who does raise the young? Is it the parents, or is it the grandparents, or maybe just one parent or one grandparent? Is it other individuals or another species altogether? Also, how long do the children need care? And that can be anything from not at all, they are self-sufficient from birth, to they need it for a few hours or days or years or centuries. And then whenever they do become self-sufficient, the next question is, how long after that do they stay with their parents? Do they leave the moment they become self-sufficient? Or do they leave after a few weeks or months or years? Do they leave whenever they find a mate? Is it that the older sibling leaves as soon as the younger sibling is born, so whoever's born last, the absolute youngest sibling, stays with the parents forever in order to take care of them? Speaking of which, who, if anyone, takes care of the sick and the elderly? Is it their own children that do that? Or is it childless individuals that do? Or is it other parents that do? And, I already have a kid, I'm taking care of one individual, why not more? Or, of course, there's the option of just no one taking care of them and they are left to die because survival in the fittest and all of that. Now we've talked about living alone or living in groups and all of that, and so let's talk a little bit about where they live. And I don't mean in this instance geographically, do they live in the jungle or on a glacier? I'm going to have a video on that a little later, so subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. But right now we are talking about territories. Do they have territories that they defend, either as an individual or as a group? And if so, how do they defend that territory? They could use urine to do that, they could be shedding or rubbing up against trees, or maybe there's a subtle sound or scent that just sort of permeates the area where they live, and if so, is this a sound or scent that other species can pick up on as well, or is it only for their own species? And this matters if it is that they don't want any other creatures in their territory as well, or if there's a specific creature that they don't want in their territory or that don't want to live in the same territory as this creature, then at least that other creature can probably sense where the territory is. Another interesting question is who marks the territory, and this is a very, very small detail, but it can be a fun thing to include if you want to, if there is a way for you to do it, just to deepen the world building a bit. And of course, if they live alone, then they're the only individual that can do it. But if they live in a group, who in the group is responsible for marking the territory? This could be every individual in the group, or maybe it is the hunters who also mark territory as they go out to hunt. Maybe it's the children and they have a way of playing that somehow marks the territory. Or is it done only by males, only by females, only by pregnant individuals, only by individuals below or above a certain age? And again, it's probably irrelevant to your story, but it could be just a fun detail to put in there. Now, one aspect of groups and social structures and territories and all that I haven't mentioned yet is communication, because for this to work, there needs to be some sort of communication between individuals. That is the topic for the next video in this series, so I hope to see you back for that. Again, subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, be safe, I will see you next time.